Labrīt, labas ritas, Tere. My name is Agris. I'm representative of the cybersecurity distributor Bakotec, and together with our partners from the IPG group, we'll provide you a webinar regarding identity as a service, security, efficiency, and expertise. This is actually the third webinar in our webinar series, what we are doing together with our partners. The first webinar was in the end of the last year, and it was about what IDM is itself, why do we need it, what are the functionality. The second webinar, what we held in March, was already comparing of like different approaches regarding the IDM, about on-prem installations, implementations, what are concerns, what should we do before that, and regarding the software as a service or identity as a service approach, which is like a cloud-based platform. So today is our third webinar regarding that, and today we are already deep diving in this IAM.cloud platform. Today I have colleagues from IPG group, Marko Royer and Karsten. Before Marko, you'll start, also I'd like to say that you can ask your questions by raising hand. You can ask your questions also in a Q&A session. And of course, this webinar is being recorded, and in the follow-up, we will also send you the recording. So if you miss something or if you want to share it with your colleagues, you're welcome. So Marko, the stage is yours.
Great, thank you, Agris. Hello, good morning, everybody. I'm happy to introduce you the IAM.cloud by IPG. Our way, or a special way, to address the cloud delivered need of identities. We will have in the beginning a few slides to give you an overview, and then which I expect is the more interesting part, Karsten will have a demo with some use cases, standard use cases for IAM.cloud for the IGA service. So the agenda for today will be a short presentation of IPG, an introduction of the two services, IGAnow and ROLEnow, then as mentioned, the demo. After the demo, we will have a short introduction of an idea how to start, how to use these services, and then, if not during the session, we have at the end Q&A. IPG was established 20 years ago in 2001, and as a pioneer in identity and access governance, we served over 1,000 projects within identity and access management, governance, and topics like this. And we are since then a reliable partner for all challenges you might have in the field of identity and access management. In 2021, we joined the Time to Act group. This group is a group of 13 independent companies, all in the goal of digitalization of companies. And as digitalization needs a proper identity and access management, we have a lot of additional power being part of this group with over 1,000 employees. IPG itself has 130 employees currently, with the turnover of about 24 million euro. And what we are not a software vendor. We are an independent integrator for identity and access management. a subject matter expert for this topic. Nevertheless, we decided to start to deliver our own identity and access management cloud, the IAM.cloud. As a multi-vendor company, we have been working with various products, also such as leading ones like SailPoint, IdentityNow, or Saviem. But on the experience we made, we decided to establish an own service. What is the goal of IAM.cloud and what are the benefits? We wanted to deliver a vendor-neutral platform for all relevant IGA services, meaning not only identity lifecycle or identity as a service should be part of this platform, also privileged user management or role management, access management should be or will be part of this platform. This platform is always still in development. So we have currently launched 2 services of 4 we want to have once. We are a vendor neutral platform, and we primarily address small and mid-sized companies. Why we started this IAM.cloud, we realized that the existing SaaS solutions available in the market often are not sufficient for European companies. Often they are, I would say, US driven regarding functionality and processes, which is not only applicable for the needs, for the process, for the use cases. We experienced that somehow the functionality was not given what we expected. For example, there was a not existing identity model. We had SaaS solution we started to work with, where you have first to create the data model incomplete. And based on this, we started to define best practice, which is a core part of the IAM.cloud, so that we ship not only a software as a service, we already have predefined processes and functionality, which allows you a faster or a quicker time to value. So project duration is minimal regarding or compared to classic projects. The main thing was, I would say, the daily nightmare or the every morning wonder. So having used SaaS solutions from vendors directly, we had faced to updates and upgrades in the morning, which was not be announced and had impact to functionality. So with IAM.cloud, we decided to do it better. With IAM.cloud, we also want to offer more flexibility in customer-specific configurations, which is not that easy or even not possible when you're going to use standard SaaS solutions delivered by a vendor itself. And often what we also saw is the customer interaction with the service provider or SaaS vendor, which was not efficient. So we, as a customer-focused company, close to you, and we can easily implement customer-specific configuration or customization to IAM.cloud. What means by end of the day that we combine 2 worlds and the benefits of 2 worlds. One hand, we use products which are proven, not cloud-born, for example, but we made them cloud-ready. We run them as a service in IAM.cloud and give you all the flexibility, all the functionality which is available with this best-of-class products. For IAM.cloud, that means we use from Quest one identity manager, and for ROLEnow, the role modeling part, we use Nexus, a leading product in that field, area. As I already mentioned, we have not a pure SaaS solution. We already have predefined, pre-configured functions and processes in the cloud based on our 20 years of experience in projects in small and mid-sized companies. So you have a fast development, and you will be able to start use the solution in less than 3 months if you're going to use, I'd say, standard implementation from HR source connected with the standard identity lifecycle management processes and provision to target system like Azure AD, and Exchange and ERP systems. All of this is budget-friendly licensed and with standard pricing, so you will not have any wonder regarding your budget. Easy to control, easy to calculate what the costs of your future solution will be. As mentioned, we have at the moment 2 services, IGAnow and ROLEnow. They are independent, but they also can interact with on the other hand, we have IGAnow, which is the classic identity management containing identity life cycles, the provisioning of user accounts and permissions to target systems, and for sure all the topics about access governance, but make sure that you have a compliant environment. With ROLEnow, we offer a strong service for data analysis and role modeling. So you can pick up all your existing data sources, permissions, and start to calculate to possible role. You can do recertification on a simple level, and for sure all the modeled roles and correction you can push to IGAnow to provision to your target system if you want. Architecture of IGAnow is quite simple. We run it in Azure cloud, and we are able to connect to cloud and SaaS application, which is based on schema or REST APIs. And on the other hand, with the IAM.cloud gateway, which is the only thing you have to install if you want to connect to on-premises. Carsten, I will explain a little bit more in deep how this works, how you could use this on-prem gateway to connect to your on-premise or legacy systems if required. The functionality, as I mentioned, is what you need today, what you expect today of a proper identity and access management solution. So it contains all the identity lifecycle processes, from the joiner to mover, but also all the changes an employee has during his engagement in your company. The solution offers strong functionality regarding access governance, meaning that you have roles that you can order, permission roles for your employees, that you can automate also access to different resource like systems, that you have all the certification, recertification stuff to show also that you are compliant, to control your compliance, to make sure that you have need to know or at least privileged concepts in place. And of course, as we use one identity manager for Quest, we have various interfaces to target systems. So all the interfaces the vendor already offered are also offered by us. So you have no limitation of connecting to every system in so far. So you have a full-blown functionality for your needs in identity and access governance. So what is IGAnow in special? As I mentioned, we have a lot of functionality, which is simplifying the granting the access to employees with the web shop, We have a strong self-service for ordering permissions or roles for managers or employees itself. We have inside IGAnow the automatism that you can automate provision the access or the permission to the target systems. We have the strong integration with standardized target system, smart connection, which is something we added to simplify the usage compared to the vendor product. We have already prepared or defined role definitions. We have SLDs, segregation of duty rules, which are already implemented. And of course, we have all the life cycles for identities, for permission, for roles, for user accounts. So you make sure that you have always maximum of compliance granted. So I want to go into deep what the functionality in detail is, but we have life cycles, we have identity model, which I mentioned earlier, which is defined already, which is standardized to automate the HR connect. We have best practice role model. In the core, we have recertification attestation for granting the compliance. We have the SLDs. We have historization and reporting, so you have a wide possibility to use standard reports. We have automated connections for the most important systems like Active Directory, Microsoft Exchange, Azure, SAP, for example. We have added the predefined or pre-configured HR integration that makes you easier and faster to use the solution. And we have in the portal enriched some administration capabilities for easier usage. ROLEnow, at the other hand, is a simple and modular analytic and access governance service, additionally to your identity access management. So it allows you to collect data from different target systems. So you can analyze, scan existing entitlements and calculate with the role modulation and optimization functionality. You can calculate best possible business roles, which is a bundle of entitlements and permissions from different systems bundled to one to make an access easier. For example, you have a role sales manager, which is file shares permission, which contains Salesforce access and so on. So you just simplify the access and bundle different access rights to a business role. You also can use policies and audit and reporting. That means you can, like an identity access management without connection to target system, you also can correct data. You can find wrong access rights because of policies you have defined, or you can add some entitlements, and you also can use it for a recertification, for a data correction, if you want, in parallel to the usage of IGAnow. So Carsten, now it's your part with the live demo.
Yeah, thank you, Marco.
You share the screen.
I will. So let's start with the start screen of IGAnow. I'm logged in here as a highly privileged user, which is enabled for the configuration and administration of IGAnow, as well as for certain business functionalities like being responsible for maintaining rules and attestation policies, as well as managing and maintaining the source and target system configuration in order to show everything within that short slot within that demo. So let's start with the overview screen. So when logging into IGAnow, you will have a brief overview about the overall situation within your system by leveraging all the dashboards that are available. So you will have a brief look on, okay, what open rule violations do we have? What open policy violations do we have? How many open attestation cases are currently pending within the system at all? So everyone who's in charge of certain rules or certain roles within the system will be posted by the system automatically via email, as well as by browser notifications when they're logged into the system. So you will have a pop-up showing up, there's a new attestation request that needs to be handled within your duties. So from the view we have with the system serving overall small and medium-sized businesses, we can take a quick example on how to onboard an employee into IGAnow. We will add Marco as a new employee within here real quick. So everything that will be put in here automatically can also be leveraged by automatic system uploads, for example, by uploading the HR data in the CSV format directly into the portal, or by leveraging the REST-based APIs of IGAnow and uploading bulk data or single data completely on your own from within your on-premises network. As you see, I've just put in the last name and the first name of Marco, and based upon the configured rules that you can choose from our pattern-based deliveries, the system already calculated the so-called central user account, so the login name of Marco, as well as the email address of Marco that will be used when Marco's user accounts will be provisioned within the system. We will then assign Marco to our internal IT department, and the employee type will be a normal employee. So this shows things like other identity types that can be maintained within the system. For example, for maintaining external customers, apprentices, partners, and even other data types. We will have the capability of automatically shutting down Marco's user access based upon his leaving date. So as soon as his contract ends, if it's not prolongated, the system will take care of shutting down everything of his access that he will have towards the system. If necessary, you can put in more information like location-based information that can be leveraged within your business processes as well. So we will save Marco into the system, and we'll try to take care of certain other parts of the system before taking a look back onto Marco's user account and all the provisioning that will happen within the next minutes completely on its own, based upon the provisioning rules being provided within IGAnow. So if you're leveraging automatic data upload, we have established a set of default policies within IGAnow to ensure data quality within the system. So we see we have 147 pending policy violations, and those policy violations are based upon the HR data that's currently within the system. And in order to ensure a proper functionality within IGAnow, we've put some policies in place, for example, to check that every employee has a primary department assigned, as the primary department will be a key for distributing standard permissions or birthright roles to those employees within the system. So everyone that has no primary department assigned will violate that policy within the system, which is having no direct effect on the user or the functionality of the system, but they will show up with incomplete HR data within the system, and you will be able to take care by either putting additional information into their HR records or maintaining their HR records that will be uploaded towards the system, or by acknowledging that this account will have no assignment towards a primary department due to organizational constraints. So we can also go ahead and say, okay, no organizational constraints. Constraints here, and it's okay for Eric Lehman to have no primary department being assigned. The next thing we have from day one within the system, as soon as you start connecting towards source and target systems, our predefined set of attestation and recertification policies will kick in and will ensure regulatory compliance. So we will have different policies being in place to ensure a best practice and good practice known set of recertifications and attestations being in place within the system. That will take care of if your employees are right and they're still within the system, if your organizational structures are still correct, if entitlement assignments are still correct within the system, and everything beyond that. So let me switch to the policy view here. Go ahead. Oh, come on. Typical show effect. I'm sorry for that. Let's just try with a new session.
While you are dealing with this challenge at the moment, maybe in parallel, you could shortly tell us how does this connection of the existing systems, of the existing infrastructure of customers are connecting to this Azure cloud where the data resists, because this is usually a very sensitive question and all that stuff. Maybe you can comment on that.
Yeah. So we have the so-called IAM.cloud on-Prem gateway, which is a pre-configured installation set for a Windows-based service. The connection towards the IGAnow cloud is based upon HTTPS connection only, so TLS secured REST connectivity towards the cloud, so there is no need to dig any holes into the on-premises security infrastructure. if there's the additional requirement for that, we can also secure that one with an additional VPN offset as well, to put in even more security if required.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry for that. The run through an hour ago went through smoothly, so I have no idea what's happening right now.
Also, meanwhile, it's rebooting. Maybe you can tell us also a bit regarding how does implementation is going on? What are the SLAs? What are you agreeing, guys, for? How is it happening?
So we have two base packages, which we call the Identity Lifecycle package and the Governance Administration package. Within the Identity Lifecycle package, we have a set of activities being bundled for a fixed price to connect towards the customer's HR system and connect up to 4 target systems, and to bring them into complete control within the system. Within the governance package, we have a set of governance policies that will be enabled additionally to what's bundled into IGAnow from the very beginning. And we then have a set of additional offerings for implementing additional systems, target systems into IGAnow for the customer based upon a flat fixed price fee with regards to the type of API. And so this allows us to offer a attractive pricing package for customers in order to leverage everything that can be handled within IGAnow.
Okay, there's also a question from audience. Please describe how Azure AAD agent works together with existing Microsoft Sync tool between on-prem Active Directory and Azure Active Directory.
Yeah. So in that very common case, the IGAnow solution will provision user accounts to the on-prem Active Directory, leveraging the IGAnow gateway within the premises of the customer. The Azure AD Sync tool will then push the users into customers' Azure Active Directory, and they're linked by the on-prem AD SID. And IGAnow will then pick up the users from the customer's Azure Active Directory and will allow them to request access to certain access groups or permissions within Azure Active Directory based upon the approval policies that are within the system. So the users or their managers can now request access to certain groups that we read from Azure Active Directory into IGAnow, and that will be placed as requestable items within the shop as well. So there's a pretty much seamless integration there. There's a set of preliminary requirements that need to be dealt with prior to onboarding Azure Active Directory. So now it looks like I have that one back under control here. Those will allow us to put in all the entitlements that we read from on-prem Active Directory, as well as from Azure Active Directory or on-prem SAP instances, as well into the so-called IT shop portion of IGAnow, which we will cover in a couple of seconds in order to request access to on-prem and cloud-based systems. So within here, we see, for example, all the user recertifications that are within my duties. I have a service account here that needs to be recertified, and we see a lot of other recertifications that need to be handled within here based upon the established set of recertification policies. So one of the other typical use cases within IGAnow is to establish business roles, bundling up permissions or entitlements of connected target systems. So when we run through that process real quick, we will set up a new business role here. As Marco mentioned earlier, we are delivering IGAnow with a set of business role classes and standard business roles that can be leveraged within the system. So we will set up a new project here for performance optimization, and we will put in a manager, which can be me, or for example, we can put in Marco as the manager of that project here. And after that, Marco will have the capabilities of managing that role completely. So what does it mean, managing a business role completely? So it starts with equipping the business role with certain entitlements from connected systems. So we are able to add new entitlements to an existing business role here. And we can then select what kind of entitlement we want to add to our business role. I will add a new Active Directory group coming from my Active Directory. Let's look for anything that's pretty much IT related. Okay, let's use the Canadian hospital role here and add that entitlement to our business role. And everyone within the system being member of that business role will then be able to leverage the access that's behind the Active Directory group as soon as the entitlement request is done. So coming back to the requests, as mentioned earlier, the system will then provide capability for users to request access to certain roles within the system, to request access to business roles within the system, or, for example, to gain access to certain resources, Active Directory groups, SharePoint groups, or whatever is available within the system. So let me just grab access to the sales business role. I will put that into my so-called shopping cart. I will justify the access request with a justification. And we will then have the capability of putting valid from, valid until dates, so we can narrow those requests down to certain amounts in time to ensure the user has access from the point in time where he needs the access till the end of the dedicated time frame that needs to be covered. And then if the time frame is over, IGAnow will take care of deprovisioning the required access or the covered access here pretty quick. So coming back to what we started with by setting up Marco as a completely new identity within the system, let's take a look on what happened since then within IGAnow and within the connected systems. So when we take a quick look onto the overview of Marco's identity, we will see that he is having not only the identity record that we created earlier, he already has a user account within our Active Directory. And that user account is also equipped with certain access groups that are iterated automatically based upon his organizational information. So all those groups that he already has access to and the access he can use is coming from the department that Marco was placed into during the onboarding. We can also take a look into the complete history of Marco. So everything that's happening for that dedicated identity and their the user accounts of that identity. So we see that Marco was created, and he then got the target system provisioning roles. His user account was created for Marco. The entitlements were added, so all the groups that were added to his newly created user account. And then around about 20 minutes later, I added him to the owners to our newly created business role performance optimization, where he was added as the manager. So he got ownership onto that business role. And he also got added to the employees manager role due to the fact that within that business role, we will have employees type 2. We can have that status overview also in a table view where we see all the attributes coming from the current values as well. Or we have the capabilities of compare his current status with a status in the history of time being. So everything that typical auditors or IT forensics will ask you for covering the information of who had access to what and when, and what permissions had someone in the time being within the company, or within the time being within the dedicated organization, can be covered within that dedicated portal of IGAnow with a single tool and a single interface approach. So from what I have on my task list, I'm pretty much done right now. So we're open for questions. Would be happy to answer any questions coming up within the remainder of the time.
Mm-hmm. Actually, yesterday I had a meeting with one of potential customers, and their questions was regarding the integrations with other security systems.
Yeah.
For example, CM. So does it works through the API? How can CM, like if some incident happens, can CM get it from here? How is that working?
Yeah. So all the data that we're being able to see within the portal here as well as the historic data that we just discovered from Marco's newly created identity, can be read through the REST API of IGAnow by SIEM system, by whatever kind of system. So they can access that data through the REST API and kind of download that data into their SIEM system to cover all their requirements, and to bundle that up with everything that's being covered by the SIEM system as well, from on-prem and cloud-based systems as well.
Okay, thank you. And also yesterday there was such a question. For example, we do those roles and everything for our employee for this specific user. And then there is a situation that some of our users need to have granted access for some third-party organizations to get some data from there. So how can the IDM help in that case? How does it work if we need to get some connections to some third parties and get some stuff from there?
Yeah, so connecting to third-party systems can be covered by IGAnow on various ways. So we can have them integrated as so-called disconnected systems that will just provision or create tasks for administrators by making them or having them available within the IT shop. And if someone requests the access and the access is getting approved by the approval chain, it will then send out an information to the administrator of the disconnected system with a task to create a user for the certain identity and provide them their access information. But we are also capable of integrating third-party systems, leveraging their APIs. The easy way would be to leverage their standard connectors within IGAnow, or the potential Starlink Connect onset that's being provided by One Identity that can be connected with IGAnow. Especially for a vast majority of the cloud-based systems in the market. But we're also capable of connecting SCIM and REST-based APIs natively from within IGAnow to onboard those systems natively, like we onboard them with common on-prem systems like Active Directory or Microsoft Exchange.
Okay, thank you. And there was also the question regarding responsibilities. So as this is the platform that you guys are like taking care of, so what are the responsibilities on the customer side? What are responsibilities on the first level, like we Bacotech are, and what are responsibilities of IPG Group?
So the customer's responsibilities are pretty small. If they want to, they can leveraging capabilities from within the portal. For example, in doing some base configuration of the system. But we're also capable of having configuration tasks being covered by Bacotech as the first level or second level organization as well, or having that being handled through IPG in assistance of Bacotech as the provider for their customers. If customers want to connect to their on-prem systems, they need to provide a Windows-based machine that the IGAnow or the IAM.cloud gateway can be installed on. This is a simple two-statement PowerShell installation that will take care of downloading the installation set and connecting the installation set towards the customer's instance within the Azure cloud of IPG. And starting from that, they will need to take care of providing user accounts having the dedicated permissions that are required for connecting to their source and target systems. For example, to being able to create users within on-prem Active Directory in case we're connecting to their on-prem Active Directory and taking over management of that. Beyond that, our approach is to make things as simple as possible. So to have customers taking care of just distributing the intrinsic IGAnow application roles that will take care of certain portions within the system. So we have an intrinsic role model that the first user of a customer will be placed within, and is then being able to distribute certain duties and certain roles to members of his company or member of his team. For example, as we see here, the compliance and security officer that will then take care of maintaining and monitoring the progress of recertification policies and recertification campaigns and stuff like that, in order to make sure that the dedicated responsibilities within the customer's company are also covered within the system at all.
Okay. There's
I
also
think we have a question in the chat.
yes. From audit perspective, if somebody adds some user or some user rights into Active Directory manually bypassing this IDM solution, does information about this appear here as well?
There will be capabilities of setting up a dedicated attestation policy for that. So we can identify entitlements coming from the connected systems that are created directly within connected systems by bypassing the IGAnow solution based upon the user that will create the entitlement within IGAnow. And we can then set up a dedicated recertification or attestation policy on those entitlements that will allow customers or the auditors to approve or deny the existence of those entitlements. And in case of denial, they will be automatically deprovisioned within the connected system as soon as they will get denied within IGAnow.
Okay, thank you. Colleagues, are there maybe some more questions? Anyways, if you don't have any questions now, you can freely keep in touch with me or with Marco after, and we will be able definitely to provide. There is something more popped up. How is organized the migration process from Active Directory group-based permissions to IAM managed?
So during the onboarding of an on-prem Active Directory, we will put in all the entitlements that are not within a so-called block list as requestable items into the IT shop. And the system will then automatically pre-calculate so-called requests within the system. So every entitlement that was assigned within Active Directory during the onboarding of the Active Directory into IGAnow will then appear as a requested entitlement within IGAnow that can be unsubscribed by the users or their responsible managers, but will also show up within the regular recertifications that will be adjusted towards customer requirements. So if customers require a initial recertification campaign directly after onboarding a on-prem Active Directory, it's just a small configuration within the system, as well as a 6-month regular recertification of all entitlement assignments within all the systems that are connected towards IGAnow. So those are completely covered from day one.
Thank you, Karsten. Thank you for your short demonstration. I am encouraging also those organizations who has registered and has some much more deeper interest. We can organize definitely also individual sessions with you to tell something more about specifically maybe your use cases, your challenges with identity management. So far, Karsten, I thank you very much for this. Oh, there is one more question, not so fast. Auto discovery options. Is there any options not to predefine IDM polarities, but rely on that could be auto discovery, or somehow rely on auto discovery results to enforce those policy?
If I do get the question right, so the auto discovery is covered by regular reconciliations with connected target systems. So as soon as we get a new entitlement coming from the target system, during that reconciliation that will happen at least once a day, the policy enforcement will be nearly immediately. So as soon as a entitlement or a user shows up within IGAnow that's not managed by IGAnow, the policies will be enforced, and the dedicated approvers will be informed by an email coming from IGAnow that there's something within the system that came by bypassing IGAnow.
I hope we answered the question. If no, please specify. From my side, what I wanted to add, what I see in our markets in Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, the market is slowly starting to get more mature regarding such solution as identity management, identity governance. And usually the first problems appears actually before we decide to start some such a big project as IDM. There's lots of homework, what must be done. We talked about that in our previous webinar. So I also encourage you guys to check the service what IPG Group has, which is called the ROLEnow service. So this is actually the role modeling. So as Marco already mentioned, there is option to audit, to scan about the existing entitlements, calculate some business roles, plays with different scenarios, policy controls, auditing for user activities and workflows. And usually that helps a lot. It takes off your manual work. You can take this service for, I don't know, for 3 to 6 months, and just to play with it, to understand what is the best practice for your organization specifically. And yeah, as Marco said, it has even some simple IDM functionality in there, and as well as the account lifecycle management. So we can say that actually it's like kind of a robust IDM solution already. So, and yeah, I will not go into that. So if you are interested, this is actually the first step that I would suggest to check out. But there's one more question from the audience. Could it be applied to third-party systems, Active Directory to system? I guess this is related to our previous question about the policies.
Yeah, so those policies are not just AD limited. Those policies can be applied onto whatever kind of system that is connected directly or indirectly towards IGAnow.
Okay, thank you. So, nothing to add from my side. Thank you, Karsten, once again for your demonstration. Thank you, participants, for your questions. Marco, maybe you have something to add in the end.
Thank you also for your time to participate. I just want to say that the ROLEnow service as an initial activity is highly recommended from 2 points, so 2 perspectives. One is using it for a data cleanup. So an identity access governance solution is only that good as data quality is, and you will have less frictions during your projects implementing IDM when you had a data cleanup in advance, and it gives you immediately more security by using ROLEnow functionality to make a recertification of user accounts, permissions, and challenging some violation. Second part is business roles are the engine of an identity and access management solution. So the more the business role, the better business roles you have, the more you can automate access for employees, meaning to give automated access to a role regarding on policies, on rules. As you see, a sales department has a sales role, maybe a sales manager role, and using this functionality, you have, by end of the day, more value for your identity access governance and less manual administration tasks to fulfill. So highly recommended to define role models and clean up data in advance.
Thank you, Marco. Thank you, Karsten. Thank you, participants. And just one more time, we are ready to answer more of your questions, to go on some individual sessions to specifically cover your use cases. Thank you, everybody, for participating in this webinar. So hope to see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.